end up there in the grave, right? Just make sure you're ready. Make sure you are ready to go. Anyway, we left off, and I did not mark it, that he is the unnamed disciple. When he speaks of himself in the book of John, it's always alluding to himself. He never identifies himself as the author. He's unnamed when he leans on the bosom of Jesus. I think that's where we ended up right there, which is number 16. The Sons of Thunder is one of them. What were they called at that time? It's Sunday school, so this is a test. You know, I used to issue tests for this. Did you ever take one of my tests? Yes, no, yeah, no, up, down. You never took a test. After we would be done with a series of this, we would actually issue a test. Not that we gave grades, but there were tests. The tests are up there. So what were the Sons of Thunder? What was that? Just give me the letter it starts with.
Bonerges.
Say that again?
Bonerges.
It starts with a B.
Bonerges.
Bonerges? Something like that. I would, listen, the wife and I, when we were in school, what kind of English did we take? Today, it's the biggest thing with homeschooling, is to learn how to speak and to talk. What's that called? Phonics. When we went to school, what did Grandma and I learn? Yeah, we learned by sight. What do you call that? Sight?
Sight reading.
Pardon?
Called sight reading.
Sight reading. You just say what it looks like. When I hear these kids run through like old MacDonald had a farm, they go, and they make these songs up to do their phonics. It drives me nuts. I don't look at a word and see how many vowels are in it. You know, which is long and which is silent and all. I mean, do you have time to do that? I don't have time to do that. It's sight reading. I don't know. It is what it is. Anyway, it starts with a B. And pronounce it. You pronounced it?
Did.
Huh?
You said pronounce it. Did.
Well, the B. What is that word? Their name, Bajornis or something like that. But he's the Sons of Thunder, you know, which is being interpreted. By the way, which being interpreted is whenever you don't know something that's in the Bible and you can't figure out the interpretation of it, read the verse before it, read the verse after. Generally speaking, it clears all that up if you just read 2 or 3 verses around it to get the definitions. He is the unnamed disciple when he goes with Peter, John chapter 2. Now remember, John is a city dweller. He's a city slicker. He lives in town. It's John 20, verses 1 through 10. They both went together to the sepulcher. They ran both together. And the other disciple did outrun Peter and came first to the sepulcher. Why would he logically have outrun Peter?
Thinner.
He's probably thinner. He's a city dweller. He's not probably very muscular. He was on the boat fishing, and they had hired hands. So they had a going business. It wasn't a one-man band fishing party. They had hired hands. And so he's probably a jogger. He's a millennial. He's jogging around town, getting his dumb coffee, jogging around town. Where Peter is a lumberjack, kind of a fisherman. And that's probably why outruns him. What is important about verse 4? So they ran both together. What kind of a doctrine can you come up with there? they ran together. I use this one. Usually there's nothing unique. There's nothing new under the sun, so that somebody has already come up with this. And if they don't come up with it lately, it's because it's lost in these theology books from 300, 400, 500 years ago. By the way, when Spurgeon started young, he already read his grandfather's books, probably in the attic, that were already 200 years ago, which were 300, 400 years old when he was reading them. 200 years old when he was reading, which is now 400 years ago. What's important about that? They ran together. If you had to come up with something there, no, they were together. Christians, how many Christians are together? You know, without having divisions amongst themselves and having one with another. Where does it talk about the unity of the faith? Which book? It's in the Pauline epistles. Until we all come into the unity of the faith. Ultimately, it's not going to be until we get there. Huh? No. Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4. So they ran together. It's important that, folks, that we be together in this, being like-minded. And you want to be not like-minded with the congregation, with the preacher. You want to be like-minded with Jesus and what the Word of God says. So they ran together to the empty tomb. He was a companion of Peter's. If we go to Acts chapter 3. Acts chapter 3. By the way, where would you get some of the information? Not that I read about it, and not that we preach it or add it to any of the preaching. Is where would you find out about what happened to John, other than in the Bible? I think Acts 12, he kills John. Or is that he kills John? Let me get there. Where would you find out what happened? Like Peter, what happened to Peter? Where would you find out what happened to him? He killed James, the brother of John. James, the brother of John. In Acts 12. Where would you read and find out about what happened to Peter? Traditionally, what do they say about Peter? How did he die? That he's crucified upside down. Now, where would you find that? I'm not interested in finding it. Where would you find that?
John said it.
No, you would find that like in Josephus. You would find it in something that's not biblical, somebody that's writing and recording history. And you would read about those kind of things. You would find it in the Mennonites. What do the Mennonites read? I have one. Every Mennonite has one in their house.
Pilgrim's Progress.
Not Pilgrim's Progress, but I would go there, but not Pilgrim's Progress. Martyr's Mirror. Martyr's Mirror. It's the story of all the martyrs. Now, if anybody wants to read it, I have it. If you want to read accounts, it's in there. I got other things to do than to read that. But every Mennonite has a martyr's mirror, and it show the persecution, what happened to disciples and those that came after them, and how they were persecuted, arrested, tried, burned at the stake, and so on. If you were in the Mennonite church and you go on tour in Europe, the millennials and rich people go on tour in Europe to go on a cruise ship and visit historical sites. When we were in the Mennonite church, they got on a tour. There was a group that went on a tour to go to where all the martyrs were burned at the stake, where Huss was burned, and they would go to all those spots. That's what they went on when they went on, like you would go on a cruise ship. They go to where the churches where they're buried. This is where this guy got burned, and this one was killed, and so on. And they visit all through Europe and Britain of where all these things had occurred. and so on. But he is the unnamed. I'm sorry, unnamed in John. But if you go to Acts chapter 3, now Peter and John went up together. Again, they are together. They're in unity here into the temple at the hour of prayer, being the 9th hour. What would have drawn them together? Name some things that would tie them together. Don't be afraid to say something. Business. They were both fishermen. What was another? Church. The obvious one. They're saved.
Politics.
Pardon?
Politics. They ran together with politics.
Oh, politics. Could be. They wanted. What did Israel want to do at that time? The Jews. They wanted to get rid of Rome, man. They want to get rid of Rome. By the way, if we're sitting under Rome right now, you call it. I mean, there are those that are just grinding. These churches grinding their teeth over the Constitution and all. Who's going to fix their clock? Who's not the church, but who's going to fix Rome's clock? God's going to fix their clock. He's going to dismantle that when he sees fit. You know, the verse where it says he raises kingdoms up and he tears them down. He's going to fix their clock. How do these politicians get rich?
From other people's money.
No. How does Pelosi get rich?
Stock tips.
But what's that called?
Insider trading.
Insider trading. And so how do they create insider trading? All this stuff with these bills and all, and then they add the pork to it. It's probably because when they add that and they know this is getting passed, that this business is going to be good. What business does everybody want to get into with this insider trading right now? Maybe not now. Some of these businesses are failing. In fact, didn't Ford just cut production on the truck?
Oh, electric.
Electric. You got these cellular things. You got these electric cars. Listen, this is no new thing. Was there? By the way, when did they create the electric car?
This is the 20s.
1905.
Like 1905. It's not a new thing. None of this is new. When did they make the steam car?
Who's first?
Probably 1903. But you got this big boiler on there and you're carrying this water around. It's not practical. So it wasn't practical. So I think back in the Carter days, it's the same thing. It was, I think, EVA, electrical vehicle, I don't know. It was called something. Guess who made all the nameplates for it locally here? The nameplate maker. We made all the plates for those cars. So that was an account. We made all the plates for the cars. I think 5 rolled off the assembly line every day. And where did it end up, as Ronald Reagan's great saying? Where was where was Russia gonna end up? On the ash heap of history. And so that thing all went defunct, belly up, and that all ended because you can't make money. It's not practical. Now, will it be practical? Probably. They don't fly these planes today, these gas-powered model planes. What are they flying now? These battery, it is improving. These DC battery-powered drones. And so everybody wanted to get their feet wet in this. So everybody now is flying these drones and they want to start a business. Well, they set up these probably federal regulations so that, TVA probably has it, the TV stations have it, the government has it, the police have it, but everybody and his uncle can't get in on it. And by the way, if it crashes, you better have insurance. That's another thing. And it's illegal to fly those planes now. You can't fly like a regular plane. They're all for sale real cheap. You find them in antique stores, so you can't, we flew them as kids. You start them up, you get them going. We'd go to the golf course, we were backed up to the park system. We made sure it was a westerly wind, so it would blow it over the park. We would just let them go, man, and man, we had those suckers flying. And it was all free, what's called free flight. We couldn't afford radios. Those radios are very, very expensive. You get a 2-channel, 4-channel, 6-channel radio in there. We couldn't afford that. It was all free flight, an old 20 engine. But if it hit somebody, you better not put a return address on it. You know, they'll sue you. Anyway, we would lose them. My brother would build them, I would lose them. I was real good at that. He accompanied him there to the hour of prayer into the temple, 4:19. By the way, where did they meet? What did the first church meet? In the temple. So what happens to Roman Catholics when they get saved and the priest does not know what to do with them? They've got these, they don't know what happened to them. They get saved. And what are they generally playing? What instrument are they playing? Musical instrument. They're playing their guitars. Kumbaya. They're all kumbaya. The priest doesn't know what to do with them. Where do they send them?
I told you to go to the basement.
They send them in the basement. They set up different mass times. Now all of a sudden these saved Catholics don't want to do mass, and they still want to do kumbaya. What does the priest end up doing? Bye-bye. They kick them out because they don't know what to do until finally they leave on their own or they get kicked out. So what happened in the temple? They were arresting them. They're preaching in the temple. And it was kind of upsetting things. That was upsetting their services and the racket that they had going. Finally, they were arresting him and they say, don't preach in his name anymore, and then they finally kick him out. And the same thing goes on today. They don't know what to do with these people in a Catholic church. I mean, that's what was going on when we got saved. Not that we went in the basement doing kumbaya. I thought, well, you know, if I just hang out here for a couple of years, I could change things here. Are you going to change Babylon? You're going to change Rome? You're not going to change Rome. The only way and only thing we could do was get out. We had to get out. What did the head priest do to me? What does the Catholic Church do with people? What's it called? Excommunicate. They excommunicated me. And what they did is they cut me off from communion. I was so hurt. I was really hurt. I didn't know what was going on. You can't have communion here. And then, but in the end, he did me the greatest favor he could do. He did me a great favor. It forced us out and finally to get moving in the right direction. He ended up doing us a favor. So in 4:19, Peter and John answered and said unto them, whether it be right sight of God to hearken unto you more than unto God judge ye, for we cannot but speak the things which we have seen and heard. Yes, sir, go ahead. It is Sunday.
After I got saved, I was going back to Mass every week. And come Easter Sunday, I'm at the Mass, and he decided to baptize a baby right there in the middle of it. And I was so offended, I left and never came back.
And you left and never came back.
It seemed like the Holy Spirit says, you're out of here.
Yeah, well, I was nothing when I got married. And then when before I got married, the wifey wanted me to be a Catholic. So I converted as an adult. How does Catholics, they may vary. How do Catholics here baptize?
Sprinkles.
Pardon?
Sprinkle.
They do sprinkling. I've seen these Orthodox, I don't know what they are. they take the whole baby, take a baby and they dunk it in this thing. I mean, in and out 3 times, in the name of Father, Son. I've seen it on television, babies screaming and crying. They immerse the baby. They had me put my head over this urn in the breezeway when you come into the main thing, and they poured it over my head. It was just him, me, and it seemed like there was a witness there. And then then he wanted me to go to confession. Oh, why did I go to confession? Now remember, I'm not saved yet. Was there a motive for me to go to? I always wondered what went on in there. So I went to confession. Like, what goes on behind the screen here? and they did their routine, and they say so many prayers, the Our Fathers and the Hail Marys and all. When we were in the group, when we were in the Catholic Church, and our friends, they would do the rosary. They would brag on how fast they could do the rosary. It was 20 minutes flat. Remember that? They would brag on it. We could do it in 20 minutes flat. In the group was us, a bunch of Catholics. We had Baptists in there. What group of Baptists were those? Oh, they were not American. They were,
G-A-R-B.
we call them garbage. The GARB church, Garbage Baptists. I know. The General Assembly of Regular Baptists, that's what they were. They were in the group. And I'm wondering, man, this is like, what is this? You got an elephant and a giraffe's head and an alligator's tail. It was a big conglomerate. What ended it for me? Ended it. I said, I'm out of here. What was the end for us? We got invited to one of the friends. They had a 40th birthday party for somebody there. It was for our neighbor. And when the girl popped out of the cake, she popped out of the cake, and the kids were chasing her around, and I said, I never went back. I was out of there, man. And I pulled my wife and my kids out of there. What is this? It was burlesque. Then they were making fun of me, and they said, well, what's going to happen at your 40th? I didn't know what to say. We were out of there. Just out of there. So anyway, it forces, they force Peter and John and those disciples out because it wasn't good for business. And so you might say, see, you got, there's groups of Baptists that say you shouldn't meet in a church like this, in a building. Where's that in the Bible? There's some truth to that. Where did they meet? They went in homes. And then they say, this door-to-door visitation that Baptists do, we would do that. But some of the proof texts they use, it says they went house to house. Well, they didn't go house to house knocking on everybody's door. They're going house to house visiting everybody. I don't know where some of these Baptists get this stuff, but they do. Anyway.
When the bullets are flying, you don't go out and have a picnic.
Yeah, when the bullets are flying.
You don't have a picnic out in the middle of the meadow. You go to people's houses because you're under persecution.
Well,
freedom to public.
Yeah, the Mennonites and the Amish, the benches, they fool the sheriff by putting the benches in a different place so that when they go to raid it, they think they're meeting here or there, and they move the benches around to try to fool where they're going, because they're all on horseback back then, and buggy. And it's not like texting today. They're at such a place. They send the sheriff over there. All that stuff has changed. Obviously, it's all that. But anyway, you could meet in a house, but then it grows. You could go to others where Onesimus and all, they were meeting in a house, and Philemon, all those, they were meeting in homes back then. All right, his companion to Peter, Let's go to John 18. Is thinking about the bullets are flying. Why did the other accounts, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, not reveal who cut off the ear of Malchus?
He's still alive.
Because Peter was still alive. And if they revealed that, they would go and hunt him down. Now, is that true? That's just an assumed theory, that they would have got Peter because he did that. So by now, Peter is dead. So John 18, the idea is Peter's already dead. Verse 26, one of the servants of the high priest being his kinsman whose ear Peter cut off. That's where it's revealed in John. That's the only place it's revealed, is because Peter's already dead. He's already dead. You can't get him for doing that.
Never thought of that.
Never thought of that? Here's the difference, is I never thought of it either. So, as it says in 1 Timothy 2:15, what does it say? Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So it requires study, study, study. Now, I could have learned it on my own. I did not learn that on my own. I had a preacher tell me that. He either told me or preached it in a sermon. And I'm a note taker. Anything my preacher ever said, I wrote down. Everything. Man, I was writing like mad. Then I had these notes, and then I would transfer them into my Bible. This is only my second Bible, by the way. My original Bible, it just filled. But you see, one of my instructors said, well, not everybody's like you, Tucker, which is true. So all of us are different and called to different and to do different things. So anyway, Peter's identity is revealed there. And John knew Paul. Let's go to Acts 15. Acts 15, verse 6. And the apostles and elders came together to consider the matter. Oh, this is where Paul and Barnabas have come back. The Gentiles are getting saved, which is a big no-no. And now they're getting saved. Remember, it's a Jewish book. And the Gentiles are now getting saved. And instead of, and I brought this up before, instead of telling the church the whole issue, is that they used wisdom. They only told a few people that were in charge first and haggled it out first before they brought it before the church. Otherwise, it would have been a riot. We can't have these Gentiles in here. The Gentiles are likened unto what?
Dogs.
Dogs. For all the dog lovers. Is there any good thing said in the Bible about a dog? And if there is, how many good things are said about a dog in the Bible? I know. I'm just telling the facts.
One.
There's one good thing said about a dog in the Bible. And what is that?
The only reference I know is Jezebel.
Oh, Jezebel.
When he threw down the dog.
Oh, no.
That's the only reference I know about dogs.
Okay, about a dog is because she was eating the dogs. And and the whole idea is, where is Jezebel? Because she's in the dung out in the field.
There's a dog named Moreover.
Huh?
There's a dog named Moreover in the Bible. Moreover, the dog licked Lazarus' wounds. Moreover, the dog.
Yeah, it did. It did. It was medicinal. A live dog is better than a
Dead cat.
dead lion. A big cat. A live dog is better than a dead lion. But if you go to the dog licking, I guess that would be a good thing. That's a medicinal thing.
His name is
Oh.
Mortimer the dog.
All right. He knew Paul because they met there, and he's the apostle to the Jew. Who's the apostle to the Gentile? And we'll stop here. Who's the apostle to the Gentile?
Paul.
Paul is. Paul becomes, in some claim, if you're a you better not be a hyper dispensational. So they'll say that's when the church started. He said, I'm no longer going to you, I'm going to the Gentiles. And he was no longer going to the Jew, he went to the Gentiles. Anyway, we will stop there and pick it up here. I'm going to mark start so that there hopefully will be less confusion on my part. And we'll pick it up there next week. Father, bless now the preaching in Christ's name. Amen.